This is not only a story of those 88 people, but this is a story of so many of us. My name is Anastasia Gajkowska, and when I left my abusive relationship, I wanted to create a movie, a film, a documentary where I interview not only survivors but thrivers. I mean, people who left abusive relationships and they're really thriving now. I flew to Hollywood to learn the art of making films. I asked 8 questions. This documentary is a sample of combined stories. I use my laptop camera, my phone camera. Many recordings you will see in this documentary were filmed by survivors in their own home. All our participants decided to share their story voluntarily. 88 stories, one soul, one voice, one calling for the whole humanity. Hey, welcome back to our series on recognizing and addressing red flags in relationships. I'm so happy you are here. There are so many things you could be doing, but you are watching this documentary. So I want to celebrate you and your presence. Today, we are diving into crucial topic, red flags in abusive relationships, from manipulation to overt control. So get ready as we uncover the warning signs that could save lives.
If you came from an alcoholic home, if you were emotionally neglected, if you suffered abandonment trauma that literally could be no other way, you were programmed to seek approval. You were programmed to manifest someone in your life that would exploit your trauma. It was destined because it's a program. It's what you give off. It's what you resonate with. It's not your fault. This is a cause and effect universe.
Do you feel scared around this person? Do you feel like you have to hide yourself? Do you feel like tension in your body? Do you feel like you can't be your true self? You can't show up as yourself. You're like suppressing part of who you are. You can't be authentic. Or if you're second guessing yourself around this person, like you start questioning your own thoughts, your own memories, your own beliefs, because they're manipulating you to believe that you're incorrect all the time.
They normally start with something called love bombing, where they actually intoxicate you and create a strong chemistry of attachment, because they tell you how fantastic you are. They seem to like the same things. They come with a lot of fast intensity. So you build this idea that they're really great and wonderful and perfect match, and they're really wonderful and sweet. And that becomes your first impression. And when we form one impression of a person, our brain really struggles to accept when we suddenly see the complete opposite. So when the abuse suddenly appears, our brain diminishes this because of cognitive dissonance. So it won't really accept, and therefore we diminish it or even forget it and only remember the good parts, because it makes it easier for the brain to grasp when it only have to hold one idea of who this person is. And if they contradict, it needs to get rid of one of these ideas.
He promised me to give me a castle and a pony. I really wanted to plant a garden with him.
I was able to tell her a couple things that I wanted. She proceeded to completely go on with like a love bombing stage. Everything that I said that I was wanted, she was literally becoming.
I was attracted to him instantly. We used to always go on nights out and he'd never let me spend a penny. And I've never had that before. I've never had a guy that's done that to me. So I felt really good.
You're the love of my life, and it was a very it was that very quick, like, bonded. There was like I love yous very quickly in the relationship. If I was the queen of his world, so it made me feel special. I finally felt special, and I didn't look at it as being anything else but this person really loves me.
Very romantic, very attentive in listening. He wanted to know me and was fascinated by me. So I was I don't think I've ever had that attention before. You know, I hadn't had male attention ever. And this man, you know, was coming with, you know, literally the white horse. He was anything that I wanted. And I can remember him saying now, he's like, what do you want?
He gave me a lot of attention, and I really love that, obviously, because of my childhood.
They make you feel like you're the most special person in the world.
I mean, he was telling me I was the most beautiful woman he had ever met.
Like we were soulmates. I can remember telling people, gosh, it's crazy. We don't fight. We agree upon everything. He's always there. He's always around.
They learn to say the things that you want to hear and to tell you all the right things, that they love the things that you love, and you're just the best thing, and you're so beautiful and important.
He pretended that he liked the same things that I did.
That was that physical, just very raw attraction that I confused for something else.
I was stripping and prostituting, and he kept frequently coming to place of establishment. He also knew some of the friends that I was staying with and hanging out with, and he was giving me attention. He was giving me, remember I told you, he was giving me that attention of, oh, well, this must be love. He must really be interested in me because, you know, he wants to have sex, and not for money.
We got very close very quickly. I thought it was true love instantly.
Know my life anymore, which at first was exciting, and then it became scary. If I don't show up for this person, their life is at stake.
Somebody doesn't love you that much, you know. I was put on a pedestal, and why did I think I deserved to be on a pedestal? But I fell for it. I did fall for that.
Nobody could ever maintain that level of attention on another person. It's not healthy and it's not realistic. So that is the first red flag. That amount of attention, if somebody is that attentive and that pushy and the relationship moves that quickly, that should be a huge indicator that boundaries need to be put up, and see how they react to them, because probably they won't react well, and that'll be your first I guess, sign that you need to get out.
Healthy people don't love bomb. So if you end up in a situation where you meet somebody and they immediately absorb your life with them and try to enmesh you into their life almost overnight, this is not normal and should be a giant red flag. Relationships are supposed to build over time and exposure with one another. And so you should be able to organically get to know somebody. It takes time. There's a process. And over a period of time, that relationship grows stronger and stronger.
Emotional abuse is about power and control, and it's about dominance, right? It's about power over. It could look like being told what to do all the time.
He was not letting me do things that I used to do, like the things I love to do. I love to teach fitness. He wanted me to stay home, and then when I tried to go do at least grocery shopping, he's already asking me when I'm going back. And then he was preventing me to do the things I enjoy. I had a 6-month-old and I got pregnant. That was my life, is in the home watching kids. That was my role, and I'm not making money, so I should do whatever he says. and you should do this and do this. You're not making money. They'll let me work then. Well, you're not making enough. You're not gonna make enough. So it's always like belittle and that I am just an immigrant.
There was the same controlling behavior that that my mother displayed. My ex-partner, she was searching through my phone, going through all my text messages, going through my bags when I came home from a business trip, and yeah, it was really quite comical at the time. But now I see it for what it really was, and for what it really is just this intense need and desire to control everything about someone's life, and then really looking and trying to find something as evidence to show that you're the one who's wrong.
He would tell me things like, "You'll never leave me. We made you what you are today. If it wasn't for me and my mother, you wouldn't be where you are. So don't even think about leaving."
The first time I started understanding what red flags weren't until just recently on my journey, like a year, 2 years ago. During my first relationship, my first marriage, I was forced into. It was a forced relationship because I was pregnant. I was 17, under legal age to be married, and I was forced to marry the man who got me pregnant. I didn't want to be married, but I believed I had no choices. The first red flag for me in that relationship showed up when he became so angry one night because I spilled his beer. I spilled it, and it was an accident, but I was pregnant, and really just a lack of awareness, a lack of knowledge. But he was so angry with me, he threw a punch at the side of the refrigerator, and it knocked the refrigerator over. That was my first red flag. But I also believed, okay, don't make him angry. You did something wrong. You spilled his beer. Now he has to go without. And so I told myself, we're not going to make this man angry as much as possible. And I ignored that red flag.
He just wanted to establish that I was his.
That I was his territory.
Comenzó a tener influencia en cómo yo me vestía, a no ponerme los labios colorados, no pintarme los ojos, las uñas. Era medio como comencé yo a hacer menos y no me daba cuenta.
You wear too much makeup. I don't like what you do with your eyes. Don't do that. Don't do that.
And my father just looked at me. I was so happy with the way I looked. He said, "You look like a whore." And I was like, that didn't feel good.
I thought I looked really good. And he said to me, "You look like a whore." And I said to him, "That really hurts my feelings. That's not cool." It's like, "Oh, you're just too sensitive. Really, get over it. You can't take a joke." I was kidding. I was completely kidding. If you can't take a joke, what's wrong with you?
But then it started turning into more overt things like, well, you should give me your password. If you trusted me, you should give me your password to your phone. I mean, if you have nothing to hide, I want our relationship to be open. You can have my password. That's how relationships should be. I don't want to end up with someone like my ex. And I had to go to bed at a certain time, and I had to have sex with him so many times a day because that's what he needed. And again, he's so nice to me, so I can do these little things for him. I mean, I have to give him what he wants. He changed his profile picture on social media to one of me and him together. And I thought, oh, wow, that's so nice. He wants to show people he's with me and he's proud of me and all these things. So I thought that was nice. But then I got messages at work, text messages at work of him saying that he feels really hurt that I didn't change my profile picture to be of one of him and me, and that he can see now that I don't really care about him as much as he cares about me. And immediately I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want him to think that. I want him to know that I care about him. I thought it was weird, of course, but again, I just wanted him to still be as nice to me as he has been. because it's so passive aggressive, it doesn't seem as bad as what it actually is. And those are some major signs that things are going to escalate.
And when I was going home to take a shower to return back to work, he had changed the locks to the door.
If you replace the word love with control, does it make more sense? If he was trying to control me, would all of these things make sense? And if the answer is, oh, yes, if he was trying to control me, then he would put me down. Because you go, if he loves me, why would he put me down? If he was trying to control me, why would he put me down? Oh, right, it's a form of control.
The portrayal of him on social media did not match the conversations. And that was one of the ones that I did not listen to, because I saw it. Because that's the reason I got in touch with him, because I went on social media and he was posting all these amazing things as if he was very spiritual. And just what is in that pattern of behavior for them. But when I would have conversations, it was like, wait, that's not what you're saying.
He would tell me things like, my ex, like he gave me the story about his ex-girlfriend cheating on him and how she was so suspicious and how she always kept her phone face down and she always blocked the banners on her phone. So when she got messages, he couldn't see who they were from and all these things. So I was like, oh, so maybe I should keep my phone face up and show my banner. You know what I mean? Like there's these little things that happened that now I realize he was trying to manipulate me into doing that, right? But then it started turning into more overt things like, well, you should give me your password. If you trusted me, you should give me your password to your phone. I mean, if you have nothing to hide, I want our relationship to be open. You can have my password. That's how relationships should be. I don't want to end up with someone like my ex.
But he would show me text messages where she would bless him out all day at work and keep texting him, bothering him at work. And he would read me his responses. And I was like, yeah, they were horrible. Of course, what she was saying was horrible too. But it was like, he made it out to be like it was a game where unless she was spending her day destroying his day, she wasn't happy. And I kept telling him, just don't respond. Just don't respond. She's winning because she's getting a reaction out of you. It was the other way around. He was the one harassing her all day because he was initiating it, not the other way around.
He would say, tell me good things about me.
He would hide behind having ADHD as a way to forget, but then the stories were constantly changing.
He also had a brain injury when he was 16. He would use his brain injury as a scapegoat. He could be yelling at me, calling me names, and he could get on the phone with someone and be totally calm.
And I even got to this place when I was apologizing for things I knew had nothing to do with me. It's all about me, and in a way, it's my fault, probably. If I'm going to fix myself and be perfect, things are going to be good.
And I suggested counseling, and he said, something's wrong with you. You're the one who has the problem, not me.
Was the blaming, the full on, it's all you. I'm a great human being. I'm wonderful. And you are a traumatized little child, and you need to go heal yourself. And that's where I definitely abandoned myself, because it was very apparent. My insides were telling me that's not true. That's not true. But I continued to do that.
Anytime I did speak up, he would flip the switch and turn into a completely different person and start screaming and yelling at me and flip the whole story around and make it my fault and that I was crazy. I was making it up. That didn't happen. I never said that. Or I deserved it. Or I made him do that. Instead of just saying, I'm sorry that I made you feel that way. I should have listened, or I should have been there for you, or I should have been open with, there was never any accountability. It was always somebody else's fault.
It's blame shifting, it's blaming the person for something that they didn't do, that the narcissist actually did. One of the most dangerous parts of them is that they don't have empathy. And I've been a victim of narcissistic abuse myself, and when you are in front of somebody who has no empathy, they're looking for people, literally looking for people that do have empathy so they can plug into them and use their empathy, basically, because a narcissist will see the person as an extension of them. So if you're in a relationship with a narcissist and you're the girlfriend or wife, you are an extension of them. If you're the child of a narcissist, you're an extension of them. They don't see you as a separate, autonomous being who has their own life and their own aspirations and their own ideas of things. So if you deviate from what they want for you, it's a real problem.
Isolation, like starting to move you away from your friends and family members, because at the end of the day, the reason they're doing it is because they don't want the friends and family members influencing you away from the person who's trying to control you.
I started becoming a lot more isolated from my friends and stuff.
My friends were gone.
And they were like, you need to just finish it. You need to just get rid of him.
So I didn't have people to talk to. I was also told who my friends should be.
How I couldn't speak to anyone else.
Ninguna de mis amigas le caían bien.
My family saw this before me.
But my friends were making the odd comment. You're a different person. You're not the person that we know. You're not the person that we love.
Why are you still talking to this person? To the point where, like, I secretly had them in my life.
I pretended that everything was all right. And yes, I've got the perfect partner. No, he treats me so well.
And so that's not so easy to get out of because we're in denial. We no longer trust our instincts. We no longer trust the way we feel. We've ended up defending the narcissist to our friends who are like, you're losing yourself, girl. And the narcissist has convinced us that if our friends talk to us that way, we need to cut them out of our lives because they're jealous of our relationship or they're trying to get in between us. And so now I push my friends away and I end up defending the narcissist. So I'm just getting lower and lower and lower.
When we ended up getting married, the whole him not accepting the word no became a massive issue. And that's actually one of the reasons why he's in prison, because he's in prison for raping me. And essentially that is because he couldn't accept the word no.
He started raping me a lot of the times when I was already asleep. And when he proposed, with that spirit and voice inside me was like, no, no, no. And I said yes. I was in the woods alone with him. I didn't know what he would do if I said no. You know, we're by the river. My body could be thrown in the river. Nobody'd find me.
If you can't say no, it's time to go.
The mind games that he was playing, tracking my mileage on my car just because I would take the car a couple of miles up in town to go get milk and bread, etc. He would literally write the mileage down before I got into the car, and then he would run right out and check the mileage on it after to make sure that I didn't deviate my path and that I wasn't out cheating, that I wasn't out trying to report him. I was not allowed to go places unaccompanied, usually without him. So if I did, my mileage was tracked.
Gaslighting, which makes you doubt your own perception.
Definitely gaslighting, and gaslighting is this sort of implementation of psychological doubt from, let's say, the narcissist to their target. Their sole purpose is to create this self-doubt, this questioning of self, so that we eventually don't trust ourselves at all and become dependent on them. They become our source of information.
I was gaslit by a past partner who had cheated on me, and I, being psychic, would have all of these dreams that he had cheated on me. And I literally was tortured by them for 3 years. And every time we would talk about the dream and we would analyze them together, he would always bring it back to, well, you were sexually abused as a child. So that's gaslighting. Instead of him saying, taking responsibility and saying, I know why you're having these dreams, and let me tell you what happened, and I'm so sorry.
It's the gaslighting, okay? You have these moments when you're questioning your own sanity, when you're questioning your own reality, and they're telling you that you made the mistake, even though it might have even be a situation where I wrote it down. I entered a diary into my computer or something like that, and I knew exactly what had happened. But no, I'm the one who was wrong. And then you feel so unsafe, so unsure in these moments. But funnily enough, because I hadn't dealt with my childhood trauma, this fit into what my expectation of love and a relationship should somehow be. And I stayed there for a long time. A really, really long time.
He pulled a knife on my son and said it was a joke. First, he yelled at me and said that it didn't happen while it was still happening. While he had the knife in his hand, he said he didn't do what he's doing right in front of me. And then he said it was a joke. Well, why is it important? It's not important. It's just a joke. Like, he would just keep going down those ways. And then that entire week, things got worse and worse and worse and heavier and scarier. Physical intimidation, me finding mass quantities of child porn, court documents from a prior conviction against minors, and dozens to hundreds of other women.
I would have thought that everything in our life was perfect. I knew that I knew that, you know, I would often cry before I walked in the house. Like, how am I going to walk into this house? I knew that I often thought he was lying to me, but, oh, you know, that's just me being me. I'm just being silly. It's, you know, if I had better confidence or I had whatever, I wouldn't feel that way. I knew that there were just, you know, the yelling, the screaming, you know, laundry being thrown on the floor because I didn't fold the towels the right way. Valentine's Day, where he threw me against a wall and spit in my face. All of those things, even happening, I would not have identified as abused because he's just, you know, he's never had a good life and nobody's ever loved him, and I'm gonna fix it.
He was trying to put himself like a doctor on pedestal, that he knows me better than I know myself. And he literally said that many times, that, oh, I know you better than you know yourself. He also would say that, oh, I'm not really maybe famous coach, but I am so famous in your world.
He got caught prostituting and tried to lie to me about it. And his response was, well, I got caught and nothing happens.
We were at a restaurant. And he was overtly flirting with our waitress. And she said to him, "You're with a beautiful woman. Why are you doing this?" And, you know, he's like, "Oh, I'm just being friendly." And then to me, he's like, "Oh, if you get upset about this, like, what's wrong with you? You don't have enough confidence that you're going to get jealous over me flirting with another woman." Now, meanwhile, I had noticed it and I was thinking, what the heck is wrong with him? But she called it out. And you know what she did? She, because we were registered at the hotel and it was my name and she, you know, so she knew what number, she looked at my address and she wrote me a note. And she said, "Thank you for coming into my restaurant. It was great to meet you. If I were you, I would run as far away from that man as I possibly could, as fast as I could." Abusers think that you know, they're above it all, right? That they're like this upper echelon, that no one can touch them and they're so great. But they're all following the same playbook. I mean, they're so mediocre in how they present themselves consistently to the world that if, as survivors, we just started talking about it, we would create a sisterhood that would recognize, identify, shine a spotlight on these fools, that no one would go near them. But abusers have a really good habit, a really good way of presenting themselves to the outside world that is far different from the reality of who they are. So what does that look like? Wow, sweet pea, no one can ever love me like you love me. I never had a good marriage. She was crazy. My parents didn't love me. My parents always picked my siblings over me. My parents don't even come now to my kids' functions. I don't really get along with anybody at work. No one likes me because I work so hard, and they're jealous of me that I work so hard. So no one really likes me. I need you. I need you because you love me, right?
So I really did sympathize for him. I got it. I understood it.
Another tactic is projection. So somebody that, you know, has a narcissistic personality disorder, and of course, again, I use that as a spectrum, really is unaware of their own emotional worlds. And there's many, many parts of themselves that they despise, and they will often project it onto their victim or their target and then attack.
I couldn't really drink around him because if I did, he would be like, "You're an alcoholic." And I'm like, what?
So he would tell me how I feel. And he started brainwashing me like, well, you feel this way, I can feel it. And I'm like, no, oh, you're just disconnected from your emotions. Like, I can feel it, like you're angry. And he would like create this situation, and then he was as well spiritual, and he was using all this stuff in a very dark way to manipulate me too. And, you know, I knew it wasn't true, but he was so convincing.
There were women around him. There was messages that I had seen, and just tell me that I was insecure.
It was constant. Who you with? What you doing? Who you with? What you doing? No, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not. And the best part about it was I did not obviously be with anybody that whole time. And when I came home, when I came back from Australia, I did try to break up with him because all my friends were like, enough's enough. You can't. This isn't healthy. I was like, okay. And I broke up with him. This was the first time, and he was just very, very good at that. I'm sorry. I know that I'm insecure. I won't do it again. My ex cheated on me. She hurt me, and it just carried on. And I actually found out while I was in Australia. This was months going forward. I actually found out that he'd been dating someone while I was in Australia. While he was calling me, saying that I was sleeping with X, Y, and Z, and he was on dates with other people. And I laugh about it now, but Muggins over here, when she found that out, of course she took him back and took him back and took him back. Yeah, the red flags were in my face from get-go, but I just had hope. And he also said that he'd been hurt so much in the past.
So for me, growing up, I felt that jealousy was a positive thing in a relationship. You know, we watch movies and we see that jealousy is something, means that they love you. The more jealous they are, the more they love you, right? So I felt I had a jealous partner, and I thought, oh, it's just because he's passionately in love with me. And actually, that's not the case. It's like jealousy is a massive red flag, and it's a symptom or a sign of control. It's not about love. Love is about trust and openness and communication. It's not about jealousy and wanting to know where you are and who you're speaking to and what's going on your social media.
And the fear is the withdrawal or an outrage or thinking poorly of us, right? So the narcissist will condition us to be afraid of their perception of us. So we scurry around trying to prove to the narcissist we are not who they think we are. And that's super important. We've lost ourselves when we're trying to change ourselves to be what the narcissist wants us to be and to not be
I went to my college and I got in a dorm room in my college, but he didn't let me move into it. And he didn't say, you can't live here. He said, like he implied that I must be cheating on him and sleeping with other people if I'm staying there.
So if the narcissist is accusing us of cheating, we go above and beyond to call them 15 times a day. We make sure that we're home before they're home. We make sure that we dote all over them because we're trying to convince them we are not this faulty perception that they hold of us. And we're losing ourselves. We don't even realize it, but that's what the narcissist wants.
It was always like, I like this about you because my ex never did that.
So from there, it escalated. Those were the first little things, and it kind of, I don't want to say slowly because it was pretty quickly, but it was so insidious and so passive aggressive and manipulative that I didn't really understand what was happening to me at the time.
Yeah, withdrawing from me, but it was not physically, like withdrawing from me a little bit emotionally, and I couldn't quite tell what was going on. I just knew that something was off. And it was almost like a brooding type behavior, or like something was just simmering under the surface and ready to blow. Like that's how it felt. But I couldn't tell if it was like gonna blow up or if it was going to be just him disconnecting from the relationship. I couldn't tell which way it was going.
Leaving the person for a week without talking, without responding to calls, without anything. That's really like completely this kind of what was later than the silent treatment, just like blinding out of his life. This was the first time where I was already seeing it. But of course, it just made me fall more into the victim mode and wanting him back and wanted this to not have happened. Like in the end, it was the first step already to accept the toxicity and say like, okay, I don't want this, but I will not, I didn't feel strong enough to just walk away and say like, okay, this is not okay. So then I let you go.
We don't even realize we're being conditioned like a puppy to seek the treat. And the treat is the narcissist's praise, the narcissist's validation, the narcissist's acceptance.
Things started changing. He did not want children. He did not want anything. He was talking with women on the phone. No attention to me at all.
Every minute could be different with him.
Anything I did or said wasn't good enough. I could always improve myself.
Like 1 minute you were the light of their life, and the next minute nothing you do is right. That's not normal. Relationships are supposed to grow and get stronger over time. So if you find yourself in this weird cycle all of a sudden, where things are really hot and heavy, and then all of a sudden there's some kind of shift in the relationship and the person starts changing the way they see you, that is a huge red flag that you're dealing with somebody that's not healthy. It's a cycle of abuse.
Anything that came out of my mouth he would say was stupid. So I became quiet and shy and never spoke.
Telling me that I was stupid or that I was, inept.
You're ugly, you're disgusting, you're fat, no one is ever going to want you, all of this psychological abuse. And when you're feeling already low about yourself, that stuff goes in.
Was immediate criticisms on everything. You're too loud.
Sometimes he would just rage, just inches from my face, and tell me all of the horrible things that still wake me up in the middle of the night.
All of a sudden, she starts putting down my son, calling my son names. My son is an awesome kid, but with her putting down my son, I'm like, that's it.
I had found out he was cheating on me with a coworker.
She was pregnant at the same time as me.
Some days I would call during my lunch, or if I was on break, just to be like, hey, what's going on? I wouldn't get an answer. And sometimes I may get off a little earlier than expected. And, I would come home and he wouldn't be there, and he wouldn't answer his phone. And, around the time that I would normally be off from work, or he would know that I would be, soon to arrive, he would show up and he'd be like, "Oh, you're off." And I'm like, "Yeah, I tried to call you, what was going on?" "Oh, well, I was on the phone with my sister, or, I was talking to my mom, or, I had walked up to the gas station and my phone died." I'm like, "But you're sitting here with a charger all day. Like, what do you mean?"
And the red flag that I ignored was he told me he didn't have a house phone, and I believed him because I believe people, because I'm not going to lie to you. So I believed him. And one day while I was on the phone with him, I heard a house phone ring and I didn't say anything. So he lied to me and I just swept it under the rug. And so there were other things that I discovered that he was lying about, but I should have ended the relationship then or shortly after, because that's a huge lie. Why would you tell me you don't have a house phone when clearly you do? Right? So there's no reason to lie about that. So that was just one lie, and then it was another lie and another lie. Yeah, it taught me that, Lisa, you still didn't honor your body. You felt like something was off with this guy and you ignored it. And that's what that taught me. So moving forward, I just said to myself, I will never ignore how I feel again. And I never did. Never did.
He used to take all of our money and spend it on drugs, and he even went so far as to have drug dealers come to my house to collect his drug debt.
We got the place, he made sure all the bills were in my name, and then he just quit. And then I was stuck with him for 3.5 years not working, and I was the one that was supporting him.
I was financially abused, so he left me in about £30,000 worth of debt. So I'd straight away become a single mother I was working full time, but obviously I had all this debt that I then was left with that I had to pay.
He stole my shoes. My shoes were gone. I fled my home without shoes. And I know I placed them purposefully where I knew they were going to be in case I had to do that. But they were gone.
That I caught him stealing my money. When I realized that, I was just like, wow, this person is immobilizing my life. He's taking away everything from me now. Everything. There is no way I can get out of this situation if I don't even have money, if I'm not even able to save money. And there was this whole 4-day gaslighting situation, which was very, very strong, because I realized it's him, and he made me think that I'm imagining things. And I actually believed it for a moment. I thought I was crazy. He would just come up with all kinds of stories. Oh yeah, I saw the doorman walking around over there, and I saw the cleaning lady of the building, not our personal cleaning lady. We're walking around there like maybe I forgot the keys on the door, and then they cut in and in and in. I'm like, how the fuck do they come in and know exactly where to look for the money? Because you would never believe that anybody would lie to you, something like that. And in that moment, when I felt like I'm really losing it, I explained it to my mom, and I'm like, yeah, but he says this and that, and now I'm confused and I don't know anywhere. And my mom was like, oh, come on, of course he's stealing, of course it's him. And I was just like, yeah, okay, it is him.
He drank, it was like Dr. Jekyll times 10. Just quick switch, like he was a crazy person. And he did it in front of his kids, in front of my kids. He started throwing stuff at me, so the abuse became physical.
He threw a punch at the side of the refrigerator, and it knocked the refrigerator over. I told myself, we're not going to make this man angry as much as possible.
Like his inability to process his anger.
Son, go to your room. It was always, hey, you need to go play outside.
because I knew that something was coming.
He went and slept with his ex-girlfriend to punish me.
So I confronted him about, you know, you're seeing this person, that's it, I'm leaving, it's over. And he got that baseball bat out and he went to, you know, to swing it at me. I don't know how, but it missed. So I'd run to the back of the house. Everything was premeditated. He knew what he was going to do because he had also locked the back door, so I couldn't get out. But I got to the back door. The key wasn't there, and a voice said to me, "The key is above on the ledge." So you know, this is my angels, whatever, protecting me. I grabbed the key and I got out, and I started screaming for the neighbours to help, you know, because I had neighbours at both sides. That scared him, and he got in the car. He took our daughter, she was 4 years old at the time, and he left.
Next morning, he was at my bedside crying and just seemingly super remorseful and saying just how horrible he felt that I witnessed that, and that he was just really overwhelmed by his love for me, that he'd never felt this way before, and that it's just different with me, and he just doesn't know how to deal with all of this love and emotions that he has for me. You know, maybe he just needs to get through this and feel more assured, you know, for my love for him.
Yeah, he just gives it speech of I'm sorry, I'm never gonna do it.
Why are you worrying about this? And don't worry, like, I promise this isn't gonna happen again.
Please don't leave me, please don't leave me, I'll change.
I actually broke up with him 9 times.
I tried to leave him, which was over 100 times.
Maybe even 15 times. I always went back.
I had never left.
I understand why people stay.
I just turned the blind eye. I would have to take action.
If you say to me, actually, Thomas, that wasn't okay what you did, I would say, I'm really sorry, that was not my intention. And I would then listen to what you needed, and I would change my behavior. Yeah. While an abusive person, what they do, they will try and make you feel wrong about your boundary, or they will try and overpower that boundary. They will dismiss it and say, oh, that's nonsense. Or they will maybe mock you for that boundary. Or they will just continue to overstep it. While they might apologize verbally, they will continue to then violate that boundary. And that is a clear sign of somebody being toxic, which is why boundaries is really your main safety net. And also the key thing that an abusive look for early on is whether you observe boundaries. They don't target somebody who has high boundaries. They simply leave them alone because they know an abusive person wanted to be all about them. And they know they can't get it all about them if you have boundaries. So they don't even want to target somebody who has solid boundaries.
For me, the red flags are so important. You just know, your intuition knows, and it's not ignoring and dismissing those red flags. It's actually accepting that whether it's right for you or wrong for you, it's not right for me, because my body is trying to tell me that. And I just was a talent at ignoring red flags. Not anymore.
Look at the action instead of the word.
If you're in a situation where there's red flags now, they will not get better. People say and do things that they later didn't mean, or I was joking, or you're too sensitive. And then it's that whole mind control thing again. But there were many times, even though I had a lot of things going for me, I was essentially not able to have a healthy life because of the relationship I was in. And I was afraid and I was scared. And unfortunately, there were things that did come to be because I did end up leaving. And so it's been a journey. But red flags, anything that doesn't sit with your gut as 100% healthy is a red flag. Even being impatient because you're late for a meeting, or you change where you want to eat, or you change plans for a day. Those simple things with a healthy relationship are going to be no big deal. But to someone who is controlling or covert or has mental health needs, those are going to be triggers for that other person. So if that's not something that's happening in your life on a, with ease and flow, then that can be something very simple, very small, that can be a red flag that will turn into issues later on.
What you have to really do with red flags is to own them yourself without justification to anyone as to why it's your red flag. So let me give you an example. If somebody says something that hurts you, you don't have to explain your feelings of why you're hurt. You don't have to say, well, it's because in my past, this person said this person. No. If you're in a relationship and something hurts you and you say, well, that really hurt my feelings. If it's a good relationship, they'll talk to you about it and you'll move on. If it's a bad relationship, then you're going to get, well, why do you feel that way? Well, who do you think you are? Well, oh, you're saying I hurt your feelings? So those kinds of reactions, which only compound the hurt you're feeling more, is the red flag. So like some of the words I'm going to use often when I talk about red flags is the feelings that it brings in you by either the actions or the words that someone who claims to love you uses against you.
The first thing is self-awareness. If you know that your familiar is abusive relationships, if you know that your familiar is being with people that are aggressive or emotionally unavailable or don't give you what you need, then you need to have the self-awareness to understand, what is my pattern? Who and what have I been attracted to in the past? What am I chemistry attracted to, right? Because, this is so easy. Look at your relationship with your parents. Look at your mother, look at your father, look at their relationship, and look at what do you look for? What do you need? What is your familiar? What is your normal? What is your comfortable? Okay? Because then when you have that self-awareness, then you're able to go, all right, so what happens is I am physiologically conditioned to create that chemistry, that sexual rush, that sexual tension with my familiar, right? So I'll use myself as an example. So my familiar is men in my family that are abusive and aggressive, men in my family that are emotionally unavailable, men in my family who do not express themselves, who do not communicate their emotions, who are not physically affectionate, right? Who will try and buy love because that's their way of expressing how they feel. So I know that is my familiar, right? So physiologically, I am conditioned to have that chemistry with someone who is emotionally unavailable, who has all of those traits. So that's understanding what is your chemistry, because what you need for a healthy relationship is chemistry, compatibility, communication, connection, having the same vision, values, and idea for a lifestyle that you want to create. And it's also embodying that energy that you actually want, not what you're conditioned to, not what you're used to, but what do you actually want? Do you want the energy of love, of joy, of peace? What is that energy that you want? The step number 2 is being self-responsible, because if you are sitting there and you're blaming, you're like, oh, that's a red flag, or, oh, that person is this, is that, then ask yourself, why are they in your life? Why are you attracting that kind of person into your life? Why do you keep attracting those kind of relationships? Why do you keep attracting red flag men or women? Because the problem isn't them. It's you. And I'm saying this with so much love because I was there and I totally get it. So this is where you actually get to take back your power, and taking back your power means you are making your opinion the most important opinion of all, and you're putting your needs and wants first. That's what taking back your power means, right? Giving away your power means making somebody else's opinion, needs, and wants more important than your own. When you take back your power, you make your opinion the most important opinion. You take yourself responsibility for yourself in your life, and you stop blaming other people. Then you go, okay, so the real red flag is I don't love myself enough. The real red flag is I don't respect myself enough. The real red flag is I don't value and appreciate myself enough. The real red flag is I am not treating myself like the love of my own goddamn life. I am not treating like myself like the most important person in my life. I am not doing things to make me happy, because that is the real red flag. Because when you honestly, you put yourself first, you choose you every single day. You do what you want. You say what you want to say. You express yourself how you want to express yourself. You wear what you wear. You spend your money on things that you want to spend money on. Then guess what? Who are you going to attract? You're going to attract someone who equally loves and values and appreciates and respects themselves and makes themselves the center of their own universe, because that's what you should be doing too. You should be making yourself the center of your own universe. And when you are, and when you do, and you consistently do that and show up as that person every single day, then there aren't any red flags. Because a red flag means there is a lack of self-love, a lack of self-respect, and a lack of boundaries. And it means you're tolerating less than you want and less than you deserve. So it doesn't start with the other person. It starts with you. It starts with going, what do I want? What am I going to say yes to? What am I going to say no to? And you follow through with that. You make that choice and you're like, I'm sick and tired of this. I am done with this. I am done with being abused. I am done with toxic relationships. I'm done with narcissists. I'm done with being unhappy. I'm done with being miserable. I'm done with being hit or yelled at or spat on or whatever it is for you. You have to make that decision that you are done. And that decision is like, it's an energetic declaration to the universe. It literally comes from your gut, comes from your heart. You're just like, I'm fucking over it. I'm so done. No more. Literally. You need to have that power within you to go, no. I recognize like, this isn't normal. This is just familiar. And I get to recreate the familiar. I get to make the familiar unfamiliar. And I get to consciously choose and create, what do I actually want? So then you say to yourself, like, what do I actually want? And you sit and you journal and you vision and you tap into the energy that you want, because everything starts with energy. You tap into the energy that you want. And what does that mean? It's like, how do you want it to feel? Well, I want to feel safe. I want to feel loved. I want to feel valued. I want to feel appreciated. I want to feel respected. I want to feel comfortable. I want to feel like I can trust this person. I want to feel it. I want to feel like it's exciting and sexy and delicious and happy and peaceful and not a roller coaster ride and not scary. And I don't want to be afraid of someone getting angry, right? So you choose the energy that you want, you choose the emotions that you want, because when you choose that, then it's easy to make that it's easier to make that familiar and for you to recognize that when you see it, when you feel it. Because it's not about like, this is what I'm sick of, right? I'm so sick of people saying, oh, make a list of all the qualities that you want your partner to have, because those things change. But the energy and how you feel, that should be the focus, because that's the end result. Like, everyone wants to feel safe, happy, loved, valued, appreciated, right? So why not focus on that? Because when you meet someone and you have that energetic exchange and it feels like that, that's when you're like, oh my God, this is it. Like, wow, this is what it feels like to feel safe. Wow, right? And you focus on that. You focus on that and you decide, this is what I'm going to say yes to, and this is what I'm going to say no to. This is what I no longer wish to tolerate or allow in my life. And I know that's that can be really, really difficult. But why is it so difficult? It's because you're telling yourself that it's really hard. Whatever you say creates your reality, because whatever you say creates how you feel, and how you feel dictates what you do. Whatever you say creates how you feel. What you feel dictates what you do. So if you say to yourself, this is really hard, you're going to feel like this is really hard, and you're going to feel overwhelmed and anxiety and lost and stuck and blocked and trapped, and you're going to feel like hopeless, worthless, stuck. And then you're not going to want to do anything at all because you feel like, what's the fucking point? But if you say to yourself, I deserve better, I choose to have a happy, healthy relationship, a happy, healthy, loving relationship with myself and with others. Why is it, and you turn that into an empowering question, why is it so fun and easy for me to be surrounded by so much love? Why is it so easy for me to attract people that really love, value, and appreciate me? Why is it so easy for me to love and respect myself more and more every day? Then your mind, your brain, your RAS, your reticular activating system, your antenna is going to go look for all those things in your world that makes it so easy and fun for you to receive that love that you're looking for, that you're searching for. And it's going to start from within. And then from that place, it's a lot easier to walk away from that shitty relationship. It's a lot easier to say no to somebody else, because saying no to somebody else means you're saying yes to yourself.
Our first and foremost relationship is the one with ourselves. And we really want to be in a solid place with that before we enter into something with somebody else.
A wszystkie kobiety, które dzisiaj słyszeliście, są dowodem na to, że ta zmiana jest warta tego, żeby ją podjąć i warta jest tego, żeby o siebie zawalczyć.
This was an experience that actually helped us learn how to love ourselves better.
Everything isn't happening to you. Everything's happening for you. We don't have to get trapped in the past story. Instead of believing that we're broken and wounded and nobody will ever love me, we need to shift that perspective and say, no, I'm a warrior. I survived the unthinkable. And now I am stronger and better. I have gone through it and I've come out even better than before.
Someone else out there is living our life. Someone else out there is living the life that all of these survivors and thrivers have escaped right here, right now. You can pick up any newspaper. You can go online to any news outlet and you'll hear about mostly women, some men, but mostly women who are killed by their boyfriends, who are killed by the children of their father. You hear it all the time. And so there's someone out there right now that is living your survivor story. And when you start speaking, you give that person hope. So suddenly, with the hope, they start to have this idea of choice. And that is really possible. That's where you can really help someone create great impact in that person's life, and if they stay on the path, they can then in turn create great impact in their life. They can end generations of trauma. They can end generations of codependency, generations of women and men picking the wrong partners and staying and not understanding what's going on. And I think that is so encouraging, and that's why you do what you do, because you want to encourage people to awaken and to take ownership over their life in a powerful way and to tell their story.
You just don't know what people have gone through in this life to live, to stay alive, to breathe, to not cry, to hide their laughter because someone else doesn't want them to laugh. Someone says, oh, well, blah, blah, blah has happened to me. Immediately take a breath and say, what if that were me? How could I handle that?
Your reality can change. Who you are can evolve. You need to focus on love to access the reality of who you are. You need to embrace love in your life.
But that's what we're missing in this universe. It's love. And that is the antidote to hate, crime, pain, depression, anxiety, and hurting each other.
Thank you so much for watching this episode.
And I would love to invite you for the next one, which is all about types of abuse. See you soon. Bye. Hey, please share this episode with at least 2 of your friends so they can also learn more about red flags in abusive relationships or any relationships. Like it's just good to know this. I mean, if I knew this when I was 19, I would leave before and I probably would never have PTSD, which I had after those relationships. So, hey, awareness is power. So thank you for helping us spread the word. If this episode resonates with you, please go to exposenetwork.com. You will find the link below, and we would love to learn more about you and your story. You can thrive and you can be happy after an abusive relationship. Do you have a story to share?
It's night in the city, and I'm on my way back home. Humming on my favorite ditty, swinging like Natalie Cole. But then out of the blue, who strolls down the boulevard but you? Your place is closer than mine. Why don't we go there and have some more wine? 'Cause life is for living. Let's see where the sun might lead. Let's see where the sun might lead. Waking up to a brand new day in between your sheets. Breaking up in the best of ways, and I'm back again on the street. But then out of the blue, a wind starts blowing in ways so new. A world more exciting than mine is holding up a great big welcoming sign. Life is for living. Let's see where the sun might lead.